Hi everyone. In this video, we're going to learn how to find the slope of a line. Every line has a slope, except a vertical line, but we'll talk about that later. So let's look at my example here. Or I should say examples. So this line here has a positive slope because as you go from left to right, you're going to go up. And that's how you read the graph. You read it from left to right. All right, let's look at the next one. The slope of this line is a negative slope because as you go from left to right, you're actually falling. You're going down. The slope of this line is 0. The slope of any horizontal line is 0. And finally, the slope of this line, this is a vertical line. The slope of a vertical line is always undefined. All right, so now let's go ahead and look at different lines and find the slope for each line. To find the slope of each line, given the line, all you need to select is 2 points, and any 2 points will do. So let's start with number 1. So they've already pre-selected this point and this point for us to use. We'll go ahead and use those 2 points. All right, to find the slope of this line, you're going to do what we call rise. You're going to use the slope, and the slope is described as rise over run. So what you're going to do first, we'll start with this lower point here. We're going to rise up as high as our second point here. So we're going to rise up 1, and then we're going to move to the left 1 unit, 2 unit, 3 units to get to our second point. So that means we've moved 3 units to get to that point, but we went left. That gives us -3. So now the slope of this line, the rise was 1, and we went left 3 units, so that would be -3. So the slope is 1 divided by -3, or -1/3. Or we can write this fraction this way with the negative lining up with the fraction bar, -1/3. All right, let's look at the next one. Again, they've already pre-selected our points. So we're going to go from our lower to our higher. We're going to rise up as high as our second point. And we rose 1, 2, 3, I think it's 3. Yes, 3 units. So the rise is 3. And now we're going to run. To get to that point, we're running only 1 unit to the right because we're going right. It will be positive. So then our slope is basically 3. All right, let's go to the next line. See, I can already tell this is going to give me a negative slope, just like this was a negative slope, because you read the graph from left to right. You go from left to right. So if you go from left to right on this line, you're going to be going down. So this is a negative slope. So when we finish, we should have a negative answer. All right, so they've already pre-selected our points, so we'll use those. We're going to rise from here to our next point. That's 1, 2, 3, rise 3, and run 1, 2 units. So then the slope, we also use the letter M to represent the slope. So instead of writing the words rise over run, we can use the letter M because we use the letter M to represent the slope of a line. So I'm using M right here just to make things simpler. So we're going to rise 3 and run 2. Because we ran left, again, this is going to be a negative slope because we went left. So our slope is, we can rewrite this as -3/2. All right, let's go ahead and look at some more examples. Actually, you can stop the video right now, work these examples, and come back and check and see how you did. I'm going to go ahead and continue. All right, so from this point, we're going to rise. That's 1, 2, 3. And run to the right, 1, 2. So that's going to be 3 over 2. That's our slope that is represented using the letter M. Okay, we're going to rise from here to get to here. We're going to rise. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units. And we're going to run 1, 2, 3 units. So M represents the slope. We rose up 5, rise 5, and run 3 to the right. It's going to be positive. And this is a positive slope because as you go from left to right, it is going up. It's not going down. All right, last one. Again, they pre-selected these points for us, so we'll use them. We're going to rise 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and run 1, 2, 3 units. So our slope M is 7 over 3. All right, sometimes you will have lines, okay, where you have to select the points that you're going to use to find the slope. As you can see, they did not pre-select any points for us. So we can select any 2 points that we want. So how about we select this point, okay? And we can't just select any random points. Like, for example, I can't select this point because I don't know its location. I don't know where this point is located, okay? You want to pick a point that is on this line that crosses the vertical and horizontal lines. So like this one here. You see it's on this slanted line. It's on the line, and then it crosses this vertical and this horizontal line. So that's a point that you can actually select to use. So now let's rise from here up to our next point. 1, 2, 3, 4, and run 1, 2, 3. So the slope M is rise 4, run 3. All right, let's select some points. 2 points is all we need. We can select this point, and we can select this point here. So we rise 1. We're going left this time, so it's going to be -1. So M is rise 1, and then go left, -1. So that's the same thing as -1. All right, let's look at the next line. How about if we select this point and this point? We're going to rise 1, 2, 3, and run 1, 2. So our slope M, rise 3, run 2. Now I could ask you if this is the graph of a proportional relationship. What would you say if I asked that? Can this be the graph of a proportional relationship? And if you said yes, you are right. Because remember, the graph of a proportional relationship is a straight line that goes through 0, 0, and this one meets that definition. All right, let's go to number 10. Let's find the slope of this line. We need to pick 2 points. Pick any 2 points. So let's pick this point and pick this point. Okay, so how much do I have to rise? I don't have to rise at all. So that means my rise is going to be 0. My run, 2 units. So then my slope M is 0 over 2. Well, 0 over 2 is just 0. So the slope of this line is 0. Okay? Now we're given a table instead of a line. And we should still be able to find the slope given this table, because this table here, if we graphed it, it would give us a line. If we plotted all these points, we would have the line. But they didn't give us the line. They gave us the set of values that would give us a line if we graphed it. So what we're going to do is find the slope, but we're going to find it differently because we're using a table here. You're going to do this. You're going to see how the y values are changing from one y value to the next. You're going to see how they're changing. So from 5 to 10, you're adding 5. From 10 to 15, add 5. From 15 to 20, add 5. From 20 to 25, add 5. And from 25 to 30, add 5. We're going to do the same thing on this side. How is the x changing? Add 1. Add 1. Add 1. Add 1. Add 1. So now to find the slope, it's the change in y. What happened here? It changed by 5. Change in y, that's our rise, over change in x. Okay, let me rewrite that. So we get our slope by finding change in y over change in x. Well, the change in y is 5. The change in x is 1. So our slope is basically 5 over 1 or 5 for this table. All right, let's look at the next one. Find the slope. So we'll see how it's changing. So from -5 to -2, we're adding 3. From -2 to 1, we're adding 3. From 1 to 4, we're adding 3. From 4 to 7, add 3. From 7 to 10, add 3. All right, let's see what's happening here. From 1 to 3, add 2. From 3 to 5, add 2. From 5 to 7, add 2. Add 2 again, add 2 again to get 11. So now we can go ahead and write our slope as change in y over change in x. So what happened here? The y value is changing by 3. What happened here? The x value is changing by 2. So our slope is 3/2. And you want to leave your slope in the form of a fraction. Don't try to turn it into a decimal. We prefer to have it as a fraction so we can identify what the rise in and what the run is when we're dealing with lines and graphing lines. All right, number 13. All right, so from -3 to -2, that's +1. From -2 to -1, +1. To 0, +1. So here we're just adding 1. The y value is changing by 1. Let's see what happens with the x values. From 0 to 4, add 4. From 4 to 8, add 4. From 8 to 12, add 4. See, it's changing by 4. So your slope is the change in y over the change in x. Well, the change in y is 1. The change in x is 4. So our slope is 1/4. All right, why don't you try 14 and then come back and check. So it's dropping by -4, dropping by -4, dropping by -4. That's how the y values are changing. Here we're adding 2. Add 2. Add 2. Add 2. So the change in y over change in x is -4 over 2, which is -2. So our slope is -2. Okay. We should also be able to find the slope given the equation. Okay, the equation of a line can be written this way: y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope. M is the slope, and b is called the y-intercept. And that's where the line goes through the y-axis, okay? Right now, we're only interested in finding the slope. The slope is the value in front of x. All right, so number 17, the slope is just the value in front of x, -5. The slope of this line is just the value in front of x, 1/3. The slope of this line, this is a 5. Just the value in front of x, not x, but the value in front of x. So m is -1/5. And this would give us a vertical line if we graphed it. This is going to be undefined. Remember how we said a vertical line is undefined? Because if we graph this, this would look like this. At x equals 1, it would be a vertical line at x equals 1. And the graph of a vertical line, you just have to memorize it, is undefined. All right, and this concludes this lesson on finding the slope given a graph, given a table, or an equation, finding the slope of the line.